What's going on, you fucking fiddlers? Nick Daniels here, coming at you live, man, yet again. And today we're coming at you with a long video. So please be prepared that this is probably going to be upwards of about 30 minutes. I've clearly walked into a dead end of a street. That's okay. We'll keep going. So anyway, so what this is going to be is I attempted a bit of a series. So just slight backstory here. Attempted a bit of a series. I did 2 videos and I called them the Walkcasts. And basically what they were, it was my idea if I were to do like a podcast, but it was going to be me like walking around. You know, I think in theory it wasn't necessarily a terrible idea, right? I really believe that. It was just that, like, you know, the execution wasn't, I don't think the execution was there. You couldn't see me. Like, I deliberately was walking at like 10 p.m. at night. You know, and I don't think that was a good way to do things. And so we're going to reinvent that series. And I don't know what we're going to do with it, what we're going to call this. It'll just be like long rants or something. So this will be like at least 30 minutes on average. Most videos I'm trying to nowadays to actually keep them about 5 minutes. So 30 minutes is what we're going for now on Power. And it'll usually be very specific to something. So whether that, you know, whatever that might be. So today we're going to talk about Game of Thrones in 2021, just as we're nearing 2022. And I thought it'd be interesting to kind of recap those initial thoughts I had of Anger and go back through the series, season 8 real quick. A little bit of season 7 as well. So yeah, so that's going to spoil everything in the entire show. Possibly some stuff that doesn't exist in the show that you might have read in the books. And we're just going to get right into it because, you know, it's a long intro. So first and foremost, I'm a huge diehard fan of the show. Absolutely loved it. Used to tell everybody about the show, like literally. And I picked up in season 3, so I skimmed up very, very fast. You know, the beheaded Ed Stark, you know, they, you know, you do the Red Wedding. I got to the Red Wedding when it was actually like week by week, so I caught up pretty quickly. And then from there, I've been week by week ever since. I have read the first book, about half of the second book, maybe not half, that might be a lie, maybe a third, I don't know. And I'm working on it. Haven't got to it in a while though. I got pretty turned off from season 8, so I mean, like, even reading the books was like, you know, I feel like it's a chore. But maybe one day they'll release finally the final book and have a proper ending. So season 7 for me, even a little before that, kind of started turning to the worst, and you could kind of tell. The typical cliches started coming into effect. And what I used to tell people about this show, and I know we're getting to season 8, just give me a minute. What I used to tell people about this show was that I really, really liked it because it subverted my expectations all the time, right? Like the Red Viper gets killed, okay? Joffrey kind of knew it was coming. You know, Tywin getting killed, you know, there's the Red Wedding, there's, you know, there's so many events in the show that were like, you know, holy crap. You know, I can't believe you've just done this. That's a meme. If I remember, maybe I'll put it on the screen. I can't believe you've just done this. But, or no, I think he just says, I can't believe you've done this. But anyway, he gets punched in the face. Pretty funny.
So basically, what I was thinking of was, oh, fuck. I can't believe you've done this.
So that kind of being said, though, yeah, so like completely subverted my expectations all the time. You started getting into like season 5, season 6, season 7, and that started going away pretty quickly, you know. The big uproar was Jon Snow getting killed, eh? So he gets like mutinied by the Night's Watch. And I mean, like, yeah, him getting killed was fine. I actually didn't really mind that. A lot of people were like quitting the show over it. I just thought they were retards. I mean, like, if you haven't got it that invested into the show by now and realize that's going to happen, you're watching the wrong show. The problem at that point was when they brought him back, because then it was like, oh, that didn't really mean anything. And they started doing that stuff all the time, especially in season 8. So the beginning of season 8 is where I really, really lost all faith in the show, because I actually read the leaks on it, and I wasn't very impressed with what I read. So, you know, and I only did that because I knew this might not be that great, because they cut down the amount of episodes that we needed. You know, every season had so many episodes. Now, last time I checked, I could be wrong, because I don't even know what it's been now, like 2 years. I'm pretty sure season 8 ended in like, what, 6 episodes? You know, like maybe 10. You would have pulled that off. And I don't think, like, and don't get me wrong, like the way that it ended is not necessarily the problem, you know, and you've probably heard that before. It's the execution. It's you know, how you go about getting there, you know. But the end goal wasn't terrible. I didn't mind that. I was just like, man. All right. So like episode 1, I remember it was like the prep. You know, it's getting ready for the big battle of Winterfell with the Night King. And you know, again, this has been hyped up literally since the first scene of episode 1, that this was a potentially coming. And as the seasons like drew, it really got into a reality that this was on its way. And what really discouraged me about that was like how quickly he's taken out in season 8. So like I think the first episode, if I remember correctly, is only setup. There's nothing else there. It's just people talking and doing their thing, and it's a lot of like pointless dialogue. You know, I don't want to sound like a complete ass, but a lot of it is just pointless dialogue. It's just there to have dialogue, I feel like. You know, I don't even like we're not going through it like I just watched it last night, right? So this has been a while, and I've only seen them one time. Every episode of season 8, I've only ever watched once. Every other season, I've watched multiple times. So I don't really remember a whole lot, but I just remember nothing stood out to me. It was just very boring, but I guess it's the setup. All right, that makes sense. I'm pretty sure season 2 is where they actually start where shit starts hitting the fan, and in both a good way and a bad way. So in a good way, because like that's actually supposed to be the Battle of Winterfell. The bad thing is the battle was hideous. Now you'll often see what happens is this battle gets, you know, compared to is the Battle of Helm's Deep in Lord of the Rings, you know, the Two Towers. And it's a fantastic fight scene, or fight scene, but a big battle that happens at night. And you can visibly see everything, but you can tell it's dark, right? Like it's dark enough, but there's some illumination to tell what's happening, you know, in the scenes that need that. And the battle, like, yeah, it's like, insert of this selfie stick, I keep fucking with it. Keeps like kind of doing its own thing here. Hopefully it's not going to cause a disturbance. I made one video recently and I kept hearing this like this banging sound, like this clicking sound every couple seconds, and I really hope I don't hear it here. But I mean, yeah, so what I was saying is the Battle of Helm's Deep gets compared to it a lot. And if you watch them side by side, like you can tell what's going on in the Battle of Helm's Deep, and it's epic, and it makes sense. Things are smart, there's strategy on both sides, right? Like there was actual like thought put into this, you know? Like if you were actually saying like, just as a hypothetical, if you were gonna actually say, you know what, hey, I'm gonna pretend like I'm actually in this battle, right? I were to pick a side, you know, you would see that both sides clearly had some type of like, you know, strategy involved. They thought about it. They thought, okay, well, this is what we're gonna do. And, you know, it makes sense. The Battle of Winterfell, oh man. Well, like, it's just too dark. You can't see a whole lot of anything. So there's a lot of times where I'm just so confused because I can't tell what's going on. The second thing is they've got these like trebuchets, and I don't know how I'll do this format, by the way. I was thinking about this before I left to go make this video. I don't know how I'm gonna do the format of this video, but I wanna like maybe put some screen caps up and just show you what I'm talking about so you get an idea rather than just seeing me ranting and walking. So if you do see some pictures as we go along, that might be why. I think I should do that. I think it would make it better because it should give some context. So there's like these trebuchets that are in the front, basically like, you know, they catapults, they launch up and big boulders on fire or something. Hey, keep it down. Now they've got them in the front of the army, and it's like that immediately was confusing. Like it's in front of the forces, you know, and on top of that, like, I mean, it's just a terrible idea. Like they would have to be as far back as humanly possible, right? And that way they can just continuously launch into the army, take as many out as possible, you know, that's what you're aiming for. The cavalry, I can never say that word right, but you know what I mean, just marches in. Like literally just runs right in. It, like absolutely mind-boggling to me that happened, because they openly admit like the Army of the Dead isn't going to just be beat in a head-on fight. Like let's just all admit this now. Sorry if I'm just burping there. Holy crap, gassy man. But yeah, like the Army of the Dead, you're not going to beat in a head-on fight. And that's why it surprised me so much, because like again, like in classic, you know, militarized strategies, you know, there are moves. You don't normally just don't run head in, right? You lose your men, you know, you lose the boys. So when they go to run in too, they've got the flaming swords. I remember a lot more of the actual like bullshit, right? The first episode was whatever, but this I start remembering what's going on, because I remember what pissed me off a lot. So they start going in, and like I said, Melisandre comes in somehow, by the way, from the opposing enemy lines. She comes in from their direction, so that's super confusing to me as well. Like, I don't know how she just appeared from that direction. And then she lights everybody's weapons on fire, which I mean was pretty cool, but in the world of Game of Thrones doesn't make any sense to me. You know, like she didn't even touch any of them, but she touched one. You know, so it's like, okay, whatever, we'll let it slide. You know, I don't want to nitpick too much. So they run in, and I will admit this was a very, very cool shot, but it's like Dany, Drogon, you know, like Jon and I don't know what the other dragon's name is, like Viserys or something. They're up on the cliff, and I think it's from their like POV, but you see them like run in, and all the light just starts disappearing, and it's really cool seeing that. You know, they've actually got Ghost runs in with them, and so during a moment, I was like, what the fuck is Ghost gonna do? He's just gonna get killed. We've seen like the direwolves be not effective at all. Jesus Christ, look at that! Oh my God. You can't even see me. It's so bright. I can't edit the settings, because the sun's on me. So just give me a minute here of just me looking really bright. I'm really sorry about that. Yeah. So anyway, so they all charge in. That was a really cool shot. Again, I'll put it up here hopefully so you don't have to see me looking all all sunflower white here. But yeah, so they just like vanish instantly, and it was so cool seeing that, because you realize how fucked they are. Now I immediately just assumed everybody right there that they just sent in joined the Army of the Dead. So there was no chance. Now, when the enemies come, okay, the Army of the Dead, when the Army of the Dead charges, okay, they make their move, they play their hand, right? They're going to come in. And that's all they need to do, is just come right at them, right? They're mindless zombies, right? They're going to just run at you. They're just going to try to stab you or something. That immediately makes sense to me. The way they show it is ridiculous, right? Because they show it like waves of them, like literally like waves. There's someone coming, so we might have to put the camera down for just a second. But yeah, they come at them just in this big wave. Oh yeah, I'm getting looked at. Okay, hang on. Here, we'll show you the landscape. Check this out. All right, sorry about that. I actually stopped recording by accident. I really didn't mean to do that, actually. Anyway, so like I was saying, anyway, so they come in waves, eh? And what I mean by that is they all just charge at once, but they literally like go flying up in the air basically like a wave. So they just like smother the Dothraki that would be left, if any, the Unsullied, you know, etc. And I know I'm really going into this episode a lot, but you'll understand where I'm coming from, because it'll build up to the rest of it. Yeah, like that. It's just terrible. Okay, so all the main characters are there. All the people you would have recognized, side characters. You know, they're all right there in the front line, and they all live, right? I think like what was his name? Like Ed from the Night's Watch. Like he gets killed saving Sam. Sam's just useless. Hey, keep it down. So yeah, it's just like. It's just pathetic, man. It just looked bad. You know, again, all the main characters just survive, like thousands of them come flying at them, and they make this, like, again, this big human wave. Doesn't make any sense. But they come up with this strategy that they just got to lure in the Night King. So they give like 5 like Greyjoys to Bran, who just sits under a tree, and they've all got like bow and arrows just sitting there. Again, like just super, super ridiculous scene. Because you think like Bran would be the one they really need to protect. Again, I don't really know why, by the way. Just because he's the 3-eyed raven. That doesn't make much sense to me. But apparently, like, he's really coming in there for Bran. And Bran does about nothing. Like, he doesn't warg anything. Like, he just hangs out. He takes over a couple crows once, I think. Yeah, super ridiculous. And it just doesn't make any fucking sense to me. You know, Jaime's there. Like, you know, they all get scratched up, but like nobody really gets hurt. Arya comes in, she's kind of a badass for about 2 minutes, hits her head on a wall, and then just forgets everything. There's a scene, I remember Mahler talked about this a lot too. There's a scene where she's like in a library basically, in Winterfell, and she's like, the zombies are just like fucking hanging out in there. I'm so confused of why they'd be in there, and then just walking around, you know? And like she's trying to like creep around like Metal Gear Solid. Super confusing scene to me. Don't understand why that was there. Maybe it's just a time filler. You know, they get the women and children down in the crypt, you know, then all of a sudden, like, the dead, like, skeletons are, like, punching holes through concrete, you know, knowing that that they can come back from the dead. You know, somebody, I mean, it wouldn't have been a great task to do, but you think somebody would have been on top of that and said, hey, this may be a problem. Anyway, I guess I'm just in a minority thinking that. You know, so episode 2 really didn't appreciate it, but at the end, as you all know probably by now, Arya gets the Night King. She jumps out, nobody sees it coming, nobody stops her. He grabs her by the neck and then doesn't just try to instantly kill her. He just kind of sits there for a second choking her, and she like does a little trick and stabs him. And they all die. That's it. Super depressing scene, honestly. I was so intrigued by the Night King and all that. Like, what's his reasoning? Why is he doing this? You know, is there an end goal? Is there anything? You know, we'll never know. Okay, so we got someone marching this way. We're just going to march the other way. So super upsetting, but it is what it is. And I know I've skimmed over some things, but I do kind of need to do that. Especially also, by the way, that Jon just like started yelling at the dragon. I remember the dragon is like blowing like the blue fire onto the stone that Jon's behind, but like literally like that wouldn't take him out. I'm just saying, like, it couldn't kill him. Like, they literally, like, destroyed the wall. I'm just saying, like, it couldn't. There was, like, 8 bricks there. You know, there was a lot of scenes, too. Oh, yeah, sorry. There's a lot of scenes in that just don't make any sense, and I'm gonna forget about or skim over. One of them was Jorah dying. So, like, literally the writers couldn't come up with a better way just to keep Dany there, sitting on Drogon for a minute, doing nothing. So they literally just had her sitting there doing nothing. And like, you can go back and watch it. She literally sits there for an extended period of time doing nothing. And then eventually they all climb over Drogon and like start stabbing him, which is hilarious. Yeah, they don't know what they're doing. So she gets like thrown off. They just like slowly march towards her. Same as Jon. There's a scene where he's standing there and they're all just slowly like waddling to him. Like, dude, what happened to the dog piling 2 minutes ago? And there was also another scene. Again, like there's a lot of scenes I'm going to be referencing, where literally again, like there's a scene where there's like 8 people and they're all named characters. It's like Jaime, you know, whoever, and they're getting like dog piled by the white, like not the White Walkers, but like the reincarnated, and like they're just like, they're fine. Ridiculous. So the next couple episodes, you know, again, not much really goes on, but it plays up to being Cersei's the big villain. Okay, so this is really the 2 big points I want to talk about, is kind of the finale, Cersei and like that bullshit, and the Battle of Winterfell. So kind of moving on a little bit here. So again, a couple episodes, honestly, not a lot happened, man. I got so bored. This is one of the times in a season that I just kind of put it on the telly and then I just did something else. Like literally, I just went and like, you know, I just went and like played games and whatever. I just had like another monitor on the fly and I just like watched shit. You know, it was just that sad. Like, again, huge Game of Thrones fan. Never in my life did I ever think that I would do that. Like, I would just ignore the show. But I mean, why would I do that? I was like, there's people on the other side. Like, I'm on a little pond here. There's people on the other side just like watching me because they see I'm talking to a camera. That happens every fucking time I go anywhere. Yeah, like the kid's just staring at me. He won't stop looking over here. Like, fuck off. Just like walking with his mom. Just go hang out with her. Anyway, like I was saying, so I remember like there's various things that happened. Again, like you know, I'm gonna miss a few of these, man. But like Varys basically gets called. Really upsetting, actually. Varys was a really great character, and he just like openly like admits that he was wrong about Daenerys, and like, you know, like Jon should be the king, because like it's the big news now, right? That like Jon is a Targaryen, not was, is, and technically the rightful heir to the throne. And it's just BS, man, because like once that comes out and like Dany and Jon have some type of relationship, I kind of liked it in season 7 for some reason, because I like the characters, but then like it's just BS. Like you already know what I'm about to say, man. It's just all the one-liners that he has in the season just don't make any sense. Like Jon's character just goes flat. Same as like Jaime's, man. They just complete character assassination of Jaime and Jon and basically everybody, to be quite honest. Tyrion just becomes a dummy. He kind of already was, but he really becomes a dummy, and like his strategies don't make any sense anymore. Like they try to make it seem like he knows what he's doing, but like he really doesn't. There's even that little interview with Peter Dinklage where he's like, Tyrion's not that smart, I guess, because he puts all like the women and children in the crypt, and the dead in the crypt just come alive. And like nobody dies there either. Like that was a pet peeve. Yeah, like basically like no name characters die. Like it's just a bunch of no names. After the fact as well, and we'll get into the character assassination in a minute, but like I said with Jon, so that's like the big scandal going on. Varys gets burned alive, and I was really upset by that because I liked Varys. He was a really great character, and he just openly like just gets killed. Like he does things that Varys wouldn't do. Like he just like openly walks out there and starts telling Jon Daenerys isn't the true queen. It's like, you know, that can just get you killed if someone just overheard that. If Jon just admitted it to Daenerys. And Tyrion like rats him out. It didn't make any sense. Like, so they start kind of getting onto the Battle of Winterfell, or not? They get on from that, and somehow they've like replenished the whole army. They've got Unsullied, they've got Dothraki, they've got everything. They've got Northmen. Like literally in the battle, what they actually showed was like everybody dead. So super confused, but I'll roll with it. Is what I chose to do. Okay. So when they go to make the big battle, their ships get attacked by the Greyjoy fleet. Now, this is a really infamous scene about that they kind of forget that the Greyjoy fleet's a thing. I can't remember if it was after the fact or before that. But yeah, they completely seem to forget about the Greyjoy fleet. And they do, because there's one of the most infamous, it seems to be one of the most infamous scenes, is Daenerys' final other dragon, except Drogon. So it's like, what's it, like Viserys, Rhaegal, I think, and Drogon, gets shot down by the ballistas or ballistas on the ships in the Greyjoy fleet. And literally they land 3 direct hits. And the guys are like, you know, like they're like miles away. And like, I'm just saying, like, man, you don't think she would have saw that shit? She would have known that the fleet was flying around, like sailing around. And then later on, when she goes against the fleet a second time, she comes at them from like the same angle, and they just miss every shot. You know, there's a lot of confusion there. But in the midst of all attacking the fleet, and everybody like washing up shore and trying, you know, whatever. And this, I know I'm jumping around a little bit here. I'm not necessarily in order. Yeah, they capture Missandei, I believe how you say her name is. And actually, it's funny. D&D actually said her name wrong, and they're the ones that name like they shouldn't be naming her wrong, but they said her name wrong. If I remember all this shit, I'll put it up. It's really funny. Missandei. I think they call her Missandei, but openly in the show, everyone's calling her Missandei or something like that. Yeah, so she gets killed, and it was interesting how she got killed because their big idea was that Tyrion was going to go appeal to Cersei's humanity. Now, and apparently because she was pregnant, and like he knew this. Yeah, terrible idea. You know, I don't know what Tyrion's thinking. If I were Cersei, and I don't know why the hell she just didn't do this, I would have just had him killed. Like he openly was just standing there in the middle of a big like empty field, which is also really confusing to me because King's Landing and the surrounding area, you know, was actually quite like fruitful, and now it's just like literally there's not even like a tree. You know, but maybe it's just because the only thing I can think is maybe they did that because they needed to make all the ballistas and stuff on the ships, which, by the way, were completely useless after. But yeah, it was literally like 20 Unsullied, Tyrion, Daenerys, and like Drogon, and like Arya and Grey Worm, and they were just standing there. I would have just took them out. I would have used the ballistas and took them out. Like it's winning. You know, what did Tywin basically? Tywin didn't care. He had them all murdered at the Red Wedding, and he was like, "Well, we won." He's like, think how many lives we saved. You know what I mean? So you can kind of get behind that decision. Yeah, Cersei didn't do it. Bullshit. So they cut off Missandei's head, which I actually think they had a missed opportunity, and I'll come back to this in a minute. But I was like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, so they cut off her head, whatever. So we're gonna move into the big battle, where there's a lot of BS, and then the conclusion, and we'll try to wrap it up. Because I think we're going to go a little over what I said. But like minimum, these are going to be about 30 minutes. They could be longer, could be shorter. So anyway, so they go into, when they go to battle Cersei, because now she's the big antagonist after that event too, of course. You know, their big plan is basically they're going to they're coming up to the doors. The Golden Company shows up with 1 horse, no elephants, and doesn't look like a whole lot of anybody. They probably got about like 200 people by most, and literally a horse. And for some reason, they're garrisoned right outside of the gates. So like literally they're in front of the gates with no Lannister soldier. The Lannisters would have somebody. You know, I don't know why in the hell they would not just be all inside the castle ready to go, right? Looking for the dragon, looking for Drogon, you know what I mean? The big ballastas. They had like this, I think they're called scorpions in the show. They've got them all up on the city walls. And yeah, they're not really used. They literally don't even turn when Drogon's flying around. They just stationary facing outwards, like they or like to the sides. And they're just there, they're gone in a second. So Drogon comes in and literally breathes fire and explodes the castle wall. You know, they buffed him completely. The Golden Company's instantly like almost all of them are just murdered instantly. And Grey Worm just comes in and spears the main guy who was on the horse. Golden Company's dead. So they instantly come in. And again, it's like Dothraki are in there charging and going, how do they do it? You know, and they just murder everybody. Again, like super surprising that there wasn't even like defense by the castle wall, like by the main gate. There was nothing. Like you think they would have put up something. Nothing. They got absolutely nothing. They just got completely shit on, and it was embarrassing. Okay. They they just go in and basically murder everybody. They're like literally like raping and pillaging. And Jon does like nothing to try to stop them. He does try to stop one guy, and the guy like literally tries to like kill Jon. Like it's that important to him to rape a woman. Like it's fucked. And Jon's supposed to be like their commander. Like that was a Northman. He's supposed to be their commander, and like nobody's listening. So they do the whole battle, whatever. Like, meh. But when Daenerys snaps, they ring the bell to surrender. When Daenerys snaps, this is where they should have killed Missandei. You know what I mean? She would have saw that shit and lost it after they surrendered. Like Cersei would have been a slap in the face. Now, we don't even see who actually like rings the bells. Like Jaime's in the city. He's trying to like get to Cersei. And by the way, that's ridiculous because he got stabbed like 15 times. And there was a lot of them anyway. He got stabbed a bunch of times by Euron Greyjoy. And like, yeah, again, they washed up on the same part of the beach. They fought each other. And then he was like, I killed Jaime Lannister. Like, no, a couple rocks did actually. But we'll get to that. So, and that fight was absolutely terrible, by the way. So anyway, like I was saying, so Daenerys starts just like torching the city with the dragon. Now, I remember when I watched this initially, I did freak out a lot. My reaction was very genuine. I was really freaking out, and not necessarily in a good way, because I didn't see that coming, for one, and it didn't make any sense to me. Why was she just murdering civilians? You know? Now, I will be, like, again, I'll give it credit. There's several scenes in this season that looked really good. You know, when Daenerys is standing there and the dragon's wings come out behind her, when she's flying over the city and you can just see Drogon ready to fucking torch everybody. You know, like just the absolute terror that would bring to see that. Like, that's like death, you know? A lot of scenes in there. Very, very good. Well shot. Didn't make any sense. So, like you said, they rang the bell. She just randomly sits there, like, having some fucking stroke, and then just randomly flies in and torches, like, basically like a million people to death. Innocents. And it's like her own army's in there, too. So I'm just surprised that she didn't just slaughter everybody. Arya also almost died, like, 3 times down there in the fire and survived. So, after the fact, she never even really confirmed Cersei was dead, by the way, is that Jaime actually finds her. And originally what I wanted Jaime to do, or was hoping he might do, was that he wouldn't fall back in love with Cersei, or he'd show back up and he'd end up killing her himself out of like a mercy because he knew what she had become. And you know that because when he goes to leave in like season 7, I believe it's season 7, he goes to join in with, and make his pledge. He was like, yeah, I said I'd fight the army of the dead. Like, what do you think? And she was like, you're a fool, you know? And he like leaves and he bounces out of there. There was also when Cersei becomes the queen, right? She takes over the throne, and Jaime's standing there, and they just make a good look at each other, and there's some really epic music playing, and it's because now he knows now what she's capable of doing, you know, and what she's willing to do, you know, and I think that frightens him because like he sees what the Mad King was in Cersei. Yeah, that didn't happen. So they literally just like stand there and like all kinds of rocks and rubble collapse on them and they literally die. The next episode, Tyrion literally just moves like 3 bricks and they're right there. And there was so many, in the scene, there's so many spots where you can literally just tell like no bricks fell. Like they could have just moved over a few feet and then just like started like moving some bricks and they would have got out of there. And I think there was like supposed to be a boat or something there. Smell good, man. What the fuck? Not trying to be a finger sniffer here, but fucking scratch my nose and my fucking hand smells great. God damn, Irish Spring, man. So anyway, so like I was saying, absolutely ridiculous. And like we'll get into the final bit now. So there really wasn't a whole lot of characters that I felt like had a great ending. The Hound, I think, did okay. He followed his brother, took him off the cliff together, you know, and they went happily ever after. You know, I was okay with that. I think they died by falling rather than like fire or something. But, you know, they fell off together, and I was pretty content with that. I don't think there was much to ruin anyway, to besmirch. Bran, they make her like a crybaby because Jaime has sex with her and leaves. That doesn't make any sense to me. But then she becomes like a member of the King's Guard, or the Queen's Guard, as you would call it for Bran. And I was really stoked with that because I think she had a great ending. You know, they really did her justice, and like that's really where her character was gonna go. You know, Bran becoming the king, fucking retarded. That doesn't make much sense to me. You know, Sansa she's like, oh, we're gonna be independent again. And like literally like the Iron Islands are just like, they're confused. Like, why wouldn't they have just done that too? Because that was their way. So that didn't make much sense to me, but I get it. Jon, because, well, yeah, he kills Daenerys. He like makes out with her and stabs her in the gut, and she just like dies instantly. It was kind of funny, honestly. Yeah, he just gets like sent off to the wall, and then it looks like he just like goes off with like the wildlings, which the wildlings were promised all this great land. And you think as a wildling, if that was promised to me, and I did all that shit, I fought the battles and all that, like Tormund and all them, I would just go with them. I'd be like, yeah, man, I'm taking those lands, you know, below the wall. Like I'm gonna do that. No, they go past the wall and they just go back to their home, which is just ice and terrible. Like, okay, cool. You got a free chance at like some greater life here, and you could just whatever. And like Bran's also like the king. He could just unban him from the Night's Watch. Which, by the way, why is there a Night's Watch? We don't know. We don't ask those questions anymore. Because like everybody's worked together with the wildlings. Well, presumably most people, and they just understand the wildlings are pretty cool. Doesn't make any sense. Super confused. So on top of this, like I said, Daenerys gets killed. Drogon randomly, instead of just like trying to kill him, he was there. He just like burns the throne as like symbolic revenge, and then flies away. You know, Bran could just also warg him, which also ties to Arya's ending, because then Arya's like, oh, I'm gonna go west of Westeros and find out what's out there. Bran literally could just fly out there today. You know, Theon died. He just got speared randomly right through his armor and just got killed instantly. Pretty pathetic, to be quite honest. Kind of a waste of a character. I like Theon. But he at least got some type of redemption with the Starks. Like, no, he really came back, because you know he was kind of a cunt, you know, up until that point. Well, not up to that point, but like once he like did the stuff that he did. You know, I'm probably gonna forget some characters, but that's all right. Podrick, you know, he becomes part of the King's Guard now too. A little ridiculous if you ask me. Bronn is the Master of Coin, which has like been super memed, because Bronn doesn't actually understand how loans work, like loaning money works, and he openly admits that in like I think season 2, when you know, when Stannis was flying up to the city in his boats. Davos, I don't even remember. I think he's on the council. I don't know what he does. And I thought there was like a Master of Whispers that didn't make any sense either. But I honestly, I just can't remember, to be quite honest with you. There's so much left out that I just don't know. So anyway, I guess like we'll just kind of wrap it up. But overall, man, it was a rough season. Literally the finale, I was just so depressed that I remember just like playing a game or something and watching at the same time. So I would just occasionally look over and just see something that was like completely sus and be like, yeah, whatever. But the leaks were pretty accurate, and that was really disappointing, because I was really hoping that they weren't. And they were. So yeah, disappointed. I don't really know what else to say about it. That's the only time, like, so far I think in my life, that I've like finished a show and just had such a disgust. Like I said, you know, there's videos out there that literally explain maybe how a better way to end the show would have went. I signed the petition to redo season 8, you know, possibly with like 4 more episodes or something, and wrap it up maybe in a better manner, like make things that would make sense, you know, maybe kill off a couple people. You know, I think honestly what happened, and this is again being completely honest here, is I think they ended it, like they were finishing up the contract to go over to Disney and work with Star Wars, which is like a bigger IP. You know, and I get that. They wanted to wrap it up a little early, so like they were given so many shows they could do. They didn't bother with as many as they had, like episodes, I mean. And you know, and they just didn't really, I think they weren't really sure how to kind of get everything wrapped together. Because at the end of the day, like, you know, if you read changes from the book, Like Lady Stoneheart's gone. They didn't burn Shireen. You know, there are things that happen in the book that don't happen in the show, which makes sense to me. You know, that's always going to happen. And there's adaptations that will make sense. And in the beginning of the show, it was flawless. And you know why? Because they went right off the book, right? Like there are literally scenes that are pretty much quote for quote from the book. And it's impressive because it still like shows how the acting was so good and the casting was so good. But it doesn't matter how good the actors are and how good the casting is, because once the writing sucks, the writing sucks. Like literally, they say Dany forgot about the Iron Flute, but they didn't forget about her. Again, infamous quote now, because it doesn't make any sense. Like it was like the biggest fleet. Like your opponents have a fleet, you should probably have tabs on where they are. And it's like to say that Daenerys forgot about them is ridiculous. You know, there are a lot of little things too that went on. A lot of little things that went on that we don't need to nitpick the hell out of. But there are channels that have done that. Like EFAP did that. You know, like Mahler. Like I watched his review on those, and man, they are funny. There was even like when he like John. There was one little one that was actually quite funny to me. Is like he didn't pet Ghost. Like he like left Ghost there. People were in uproar. They were like, dude, what the fuck? Like you wouldn't pet Ghost? Like literally, Ghost is like missing an ear, fighting for you, and you're telling me like you didn't. You know? Okay. Oh yeah, and Melisandre died. I forgot about that too. Didn't mean much to me. She took off her bracelet and just like died in the wind. Gone with the wind, literally. Yeah, see, you can just tell these are why these rants are going to be longer, because I might be a little bit more passionate about them. Like I'm going to redo the Star Wars one too, and I might do one about online dating. Like do a real full like, dude, like the guide to online dating, because I don't have the apps anymore, so I can just talk about my experiences on them, which would be very entertaining. I don't know what to say. I don't think I have anything else. I think that pretty much summed it all up in a good little novel. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully I didn't spoil too much. But like again, it's mainly season 8 I had a problem with. Season 7 and like the other seasons, like I said, the real problem, and again, this will be closing, is really they were just like, they were sped up way too fast. They started getting very predictable. You know, you could really guess what's going on instantly. And people just started teleporting everywhere. The dialogue started sucking. Like as in like, you know, when you have the banter between characters in season like 1 or 2 that were fantastic, like Littlefinger to Varys, you know, constantly throwing like japes at each other to try to like, you know, and try to like outsmart the other person, which was hilarious. And then that was just gone. Pathetic. Crazy. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, everybody. We're going to move on to the next video here. I'm going to just stay out the lake while we're here, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Again, I will try my hardest to remember to edit the fuck out of these. So there's some screenshots up there, anything, so that you can kind of see what I was talking about. And the only reason I don't really normally do that or show video is because I don't want to get any type of copyright, you know what I mean? But I think I'll be okay. Because, I mean, I'll try to see if I can look up the fair use BS, and we'll see if we can make it out okay. Anyway, yeah, so thank you so much for watching. I appreciate the continued support on the channel. I know you hear this all the time from everybody, but I really do mean it, man. We're at like 664 subscribers as of this moment. I'm hoping I'll come back to this video one day and we're like 2 million, but you never know. And anyway, yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Peace. Take it easy. Don't watch season 8. Fucking sucks. Fucking terrible. I just blew snot everywhere.